Are we live? Oh, welcome back. This is the final day of our Customer Appreciation Day, or week for that matter. Decided to do a whole week with the whole COVID-19 thing. Today's talk's going to be on suppressors, but just a reminder that this is going to be the last day. Sale goes through the weekend, doesn't it, Chris? Nope, last day today. So remember, if you have about 5-ish more hours to come in for $5 lanes, free for all members, 20% off all annual membership, 25% off all of our range swag. Any medical equipment is going to be 15% off. Range bags, stuff like that is going to be 15% off, and 20% off all EDC items. My name's Adam. A lot of you people have probably seen me around here. I wear Hawaiian shirts every once in a while, and this is
Jake. I handle all of our NFA
shushy shush stuff and
yes.
like SBRs,
and machine guns, all the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff. All right, and we're here today to talk about these things, which are silencers. Oh wait, Jake, you might want to get quiet real quick.
Hold on.
Yeah, you got to make sure we're all quiet in here. Oh yeah, just twist it on there.
Okay.
There we go, perfect. All right, cool, now we can do it. Now we're all quiet. So, suppressors. So really what they are and how they're made, they came from mufflers. Just like on your car, your muffler's there to make your car a little quieter. Same thing for suppressors. They kind of got thrown in with a bunch of other stuff on the NFA Act of 1934. They didn't really talk about any of the legislative history. It was just kind of in there. The big thing was they wanted machine guns and short-barreled rifles and the sawed-off shotguns all to be essentially out of civilian hands. And that was really the thing that they did. So, Jake, what do they do?
Basically, it works just like the muffler on your car, and it just takes all that loud noise from all those gases burning and combusting and making a loud noise, and it just kind of gives those gases an area to expand where it's controlled, and just kind of makes the gun quiet.
But is it like hearing safe?
Depends. So some suppressors, depending on the volume of the suppressor, will depend on how much it suppresses the firearm noise. So typically the larger diameter the suppressor is going to have, the better it's going to be at suppressing that gunfire. A lot of those will actually be hearing safe.
That all depends on how fast the round's going as well.
Exactly.
Because you have subsonic ammo, which means it's traveling slower than the speed of sound for wherever you're at. Now, when you shoot 5.56, 9 mil, stuff of that nature, in normal speeds, it's going to be above the speed of sound, which essentially means that it's going to have a supersonic crack behind it. Now, you can get 9 mil, 300 blackout, 45 ACP, and a few other calibers in subsonic. That doesn't have that crack with it, which is where it kind of makes it a lot in the realm of hearing safe. It's not by any means quiet like they'd show in the movies.
It's nothing like the movies where you see like the old James Bond movies where they're like pew pew.
Yeah.
But it's quiet enough that you could shoot the gun without hearing protection. And again, that 1,060 feet per second threshold is where you're trying to get for subsonic ammo.
Yeah, and that's really only with a few calibers. Now, 45 ACP, which is one of the #1 calibers that pistol suppressors come in, that is naturally going to be subsonic, because it's a big, moving, slow bullet, real slow all the time.
Slower than the speed of sound.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with speed of sound. Gotta get below it to make it quiet. Above it's still going to be loud. So with that, you can, in the state of Missouri, you're more than welcome to own it. There are some states out there where you cannot own any NFA items.
Illinois.
Yes, Illinois. I'm there sometimes, only for a little bit. But yeah, so in the state of Missouri, you're more than welcome to own suppressors, SBRs, registered machine guns, short-barreled shotguns.
Just not destructive devices.
Yeah, no destructive devices.
Which we need to fix that.
Does that mean no 40 millimeters?
Yep.
Oh, kind of want one now. I just watched the Grand video, really funny. But, so you're more than welcome to own it. Now, there is quite a big process with the ATF and stuff like that. I know everyone talks about it, it's not big and scary, but I just did it pretty much over the last 4 months. And I got this guy, my new SBR, and 4 months later, it was mine, which is a lot faster than it used to be.
I've actually had a lot of tax stamps come back around that 4 to 6 month time frame, which is unheard of for NFA stuff. It's typically 9 to 12 months.
I was hearing some horror stories of up to 16 months, and I was just crying and waiting the whole time. But so essentially what you do First, number one, you need to decide between two things. Do you want to register it as an individual, just to yourself, or to a trust or company? Now, what that means essentially is each item has to be registered to an entity or living person. So if I wanted to, I could register my suppressor, my SBR just to me, but I'm the only one that can possess that. Now, you can also do a trust, and there's different kinds of trusts and stuff like that, and they're going to range in different prices. Essentially what it is, it's a revocable trust, so you're allowed to add co-trustees onto it at later dates. Essentially what we say, kind of how it's like in more of layman's terms, is the trust is a business. You are the person that's running the business, the grantor of the trust. You're the one that's getting everything on it. And then you're allowed to, quote unquote, hire and fire people to have them added on at a later date. You can take them off. So you are then able to have more than one person possess it. Where this kind of comes tricky is in if you're living at home and you have other people with you that are legally aged to own suppressors, guns, and all that stuff, they kind of constructively possess it just by being in the house if they have access to it.
The service we use for doing or for processing the NFA paperwork is Silencer Shop, and they have really just kind of dragged the ATF into the 21st century kicking and screaming. They've got the kiosk. We've got the kiosk where you can do your fingerprints. You can take your own passport photo. It really just kind of streamlines that process and makes it a lot easier. The other neat thing about Silencer Shop is that once you set up that account and you have all that stuff entered, they store that information. So if you want to buy another suppressor, you go there, or if we assign another suppressor to you, it automatically generates your paperwork and then sends it to you through DocuSign to have you sign it, sends it to me to have me sign it, and then they send it off to the ATF.
So you never have to touch it really, do you?
No.
Which is a lot better because if you've ever looked at it like a Form 1 or a Form 4, it's a lot to fill out and it can be pretty daunting at first, but Silencer Shop just makes it a lot easier. Now with those trusts, if that's more of the route you would want to go, and I do kind of suggest it just for kind of ease, Silencer Shop has kind of a cool option. It's called a single shot trust. They're a lot cheaper, and it's just a single trust for that item. The trust name is essentially going to be that item, have it be my rugged suppressor, Razor 762 with the serial number, but it's a lot cheaper. Most trusts, when you get them from a lawyer or other entity, they're going to be anywhere from about $150-ish to up to like $400 or $500, depending on how complicated you need the trust to be, and that's all going to be dependent on that attorney. But for a single shot trust, if you're just going to get one item here, one item there, it's never a bad idea, and it does protect the item a little bit more. And it protects you and anyone else that would be in possession of it. Now with that, there's always that dreaded tax stamp that comes along with it.
You mean the $200 bribe?
Yeah, the $200 bribe you give to the government. So yeah, so that's a big thing. That kind of, you always have to build that into the cost whenever you're really thinking about buying a suppressor. It's going to be $200 more than I really thought it was going to be. And it hurts every time you have to buy a tax stamp. But the nice thing is Silencer Shop really takes care of that for you when you do all of your fingerprints, photos, and everything there. It's all in one. You pay them, and then they take all the legwork out of it. So you don't have to really worry about things. So, Jake, if you're going to buy a suppressor, what are you looking for?
It depends. A lot of people, especially when you're just getting into NFA stuff, you'll look for a can that can try and do as many things as possible. So you're looking at probably a 30 caliber rifle can, because you can do 5.56 or 270 or any of the smaller calibers out of it. So for rifle, I'd say probably a 30 caliber can. A lot of people start their handgun cans with a 45 caliber can because you can then switch your piston out and use that on a 9mm. You will lose a couple of decibels of suppression, but
and you can kind of fix that if the suppressor has a removable end cap. So there's all kinds of different ways they make suppressors as well. So for example, this is going to be a cutaway of a SIG suppressor. Jake, can you kind of demonstrate a little bit of how they made that?
A lot of your rifle cans you can see is just one solid wall here, and then they have each of the actual baffles are kind of welded in. So a lot of your rifle cans are going to be fully welded like this. That means it is not user serviceable, unlike some of your handgun cans where you can take them apart.
I think we can take this apart.
It's already apart.
I break things. I don't take them apart that often.
So here's a handgun can. This is what's known as a monolithic core. So all the baffles are one piece, and that fits into the tube of the suppressor, just like that. Then you've also got baffle stacks.
Oh, that's going to be confusing. It's like Legos.
Yeah, like the SIG can, and they just fell out.
Oh, but that's fine.
Where you've got your baffles are in a stack that fit into the tube with some type of end cap like this. So these, like your 22 cans, your handgun cans, are all going to be user serviceable, or most of them are user serviceable, so you can take it apart, throw it in a sonic cleaner, or clean it by hand if you want to wire brush or whatever. But most of your rifle cans are going to be like this, where it's sealed up. And essentially what they tell you is it's like a 30 caliber can. If you're shooting 300 blackout through it and it's getting pretty dirty, put it on a 308 and just shoot some supersonic rounds through it. And the pressure from the supersonic rounds will actually help to break up that carbon, and it'll suck it right out the muzzle end of the suppressor.
That's interesting. I never really knew that. So suppressors, they look like they come in different sizes and everything like that. So for example, I have a rifle can still in ATF jail, NFA jail. I have a Razor 7.62. It's one of their smaller ones. I'm pretty sure it's under about 6.8 inches long. And it's smaller. It kind of fits my need. I didn't want to go out and buy a really expensive can. I wanted one that's more multifunctional for now, that I can throw on my AR pistol, I can throw it on my hunting rifle if I want to, and just do a lot of things with it. Now there's also this big thing with quick detach versus direct thread. As you saw Jake do earlier, a lot of pistol cans are going to be direct thread, where it threads to the actual threaded barrel. Now for a lot of cans out there, Sig Sauer does it, Rugged, Dead Air. There's a lot of companies out there that do what's called a quick detach system. So essentially you have muzzle brakes that are going to be on the gun, and you can screw the suppressor on and screw it off real easily. Like mine just goes like that and screws down until it's tight, and then you lock it on there, and then it's on and it's good to go. And then you can take it off, put it back on as much as you want to. It's not just kind of stuck on a gun at that point. Now with that, there's also different sizes, different weights, and everything like that. There are some cans out there that will do a lot of calibers. I know, what is it, the Silencerco Omega 36M? Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more expensive. It's about, like, I think it's $8 to $1,000, somewhere in that range. I haven't really looked at too many of them so far in the recent months, because I've been away at school. But that's one where you can shoot a bunch of calibers through it, because it's built up to go all the way up to supersonic rounds, and it's built all the way down to go through up to 22. And the thing with that is, it's nice because it's kind of a one-stop shop for a can, but you're also paying a lot for it as well. My can, I think those go for about $700, which isn't too bad to spend on one, and they are going to be an investment. One of the things when you look at them, you're always going to see that big price tag, but you have to know that that's kind of the whole supply and demand thing. There's not a crazy demand for suppressors, and they're really high quality metals, and they don't sell a bunch. The other thing that goes into that price is going to be their warranty. There's a lot of companies out there that if you, for some weird reason, round goes off through the side of the can, no questions asked, you send it back, they'll essentially cut it off and weld it all back up to new.
So essentially, that's one of the advantages, like the SIG can, because your serial number is back here on the body of the suppressor. They can basically, if something happens and these baffles get messed up, they can cut it off right here and then just re-weld all those baffles on.
Yeah, and that makes it really nice, because that's an investment. It's $200 tax stamp every single time you want a new one. Now, if they can just cut it off, ship it to the manufacturer, ship it back, same serial number, you don't have to go through the whole NFA process again, which to me is kind of a pain, because you're waiting for your toy in the back and you only get visitation rights while you're here.
Now that is one advantage to the range.
Yes, it is.
That we have the gun range, so that if you purchase a suppressor, you have visitation rights with that suppressor until you get the tax stamp.
So it's kind of like your suppressors in jail?
Yes.
And then you just get to see it on weekends?
Yes.
Well, it's better than nothing, though. It's better than just leaving it at the gun store and just getting a call however many months later and it's just there. So, Jake, if you're going to buy, let's say you're going to go out and you want a can for your AR, this is your first can, what kind of process in your mind do you go through when you're doing that?
I would try to figure out what I'm looking for as far as the size of the suppressor. So the more volume the can has, the better it's going to be at suppressing, but the more length and weight it adds to the gun. So you want to try and figure out that balance between, how long of a can do I want versus how much suppression am I looking for. Same thing, even with a can that's the same length and different baffle systems, you'll get a different tone out of that suppressor. So even though they're the same length and approximately the same volume, you might get a completely different tone out of a silencer coat can as opposed to a dead air can.
Yeah, and that tone makes a lot more difference, not so much in decibel ratings, but how you perceive it hearing the sound. The deeper the tone is normally a little bit better, at least in my experience it is. Just makes it not as piercing of the ears per se. So there's a lot of different things out there with cans. There's a ton. You can get as expensive as some Knights Armament cans are, what, $1,500? Then you can get a can all the way down to $200. So really you have to kind of weigh the benefits there of what are you looking for and what do you want to get out of this can? How much use do you want out of it? What are you going to do with it? Are you just going to hunt with it? Are you going to throw it on your AR, go shoot a lot? Are you going to shoot a pistol with it? You really got to kind of think about that. And with that goes price, warranty, and everything else that's going into that, especially the time that you're away from it. It's a bigger decision, but here at the range, we have the stuff. We make it a lot easier than most places. You go to most gun stores, and it's just a waiting process. They don't have someone in the back all the time like Jake is here just doing NFA stuff and just there. Here we have a bunch of people that have NFA items and stuff like that, so we can kind of help you through the process as well. Just makes it a little bit easier when you're making such a purchase.
One more thing about that process is there's a lot of misconceptions about owning suppressors or possessing them that a lot of people say like, oh, well, you have to have a special license to own those, or you have to open yourself up to being searched by the ATF at any time. So that's not true. You don't give up your Fourth Amendment rights when you buy a suppressor. The ATF is not going to come and visit you and shoot your dog unless they have a really good reason to do that. So
they might find that. But yeah, so it's not as, a lot of people, it's always like, oh, class 3 license, all that. No, it's pay the government $200, fill out a bunch of paperwork, give them your fingerprints and a passport photo.
That's the same background check that you would pass for a gun.
Yeah, exact same background check and everything. It's just takes a little bit more time. They dig a little bit more deeply into you, but it's not that big of a deal. Yes, it takes a long time. It's quicker than coming in here, filling out the form and going on your merry way. It takes a little bit of time, but it's really not that bad of a process. And really, the thing with suppressors that a lot of people don't get, and the big misconception, is that whole movie style, Hollywood quiet.
It's like a car muffler. It's going to quiet it down to where it's not going to hurt your ears to shoot, but it's not going to be like the James Bond movies where they're pew, pew.
Yeah, and that's
airsoft guns.
Yeah, airsoft guns. Those are fun. But with them, it's a lot different. The real thing is you only have your hearing for so long. You say something to someone here at the range and they're like, what? Because we're around gunshots all day and it's loud. It's loud.
What?
It's really, yeah. It's a running joke here, but really, like, it does save your hearing for a large part. You got to think how loud it is down there. I think, how loud do you think it is down there on like the weekend sometimes?
Oh, it's probably like 190 decibels.
Yeah, at least, and that's outside. And then in the range, it's probably 140 to 160. Yeah. If we could have suppressors, it would be a lot quieter, wouldn't be as loud, and it would save your hearing over a long period of use. I know from just hunting and things of that nature, I've lost some hearing.
It's amazing to me how some of the European countries are actually so far ahead of us on this because they view these as safety equipment. This is just hearing protection. It's not something evil or with some.
I heard it's almost rude to go hunting or go do any type of shooting without a suppressor.
Yeah.
Over in European countries and stuff like that. Guns are hard for them to get, but the thing that makes it a little quieter, it's like going to Walmart and picking up, I don't know. Because that's how I heard it was over. Yeah. It's like literally just, here you go. Which I wish it was like that here. It was going to be like that until some stuff happened, but Hopefully, I don't know, in the next 15, 20 years, maybe we'll get some stuff out there. It'll be more widely known. Then we'll get some more suppressors. I think right now they're at like 1.5 to 1.8 million suppressors owned out there. So it's going up, and especially in the past 10 years, there's been a lot more suppressor sales and stuff of that nature. I know you've seen it back here, just more and more and more. So really, and then one of the other thing that I look for, because I break stuff all the time, is I look for stuff that's going to last. It's just kind of my thing. I'm buy once, cry once kind of person. So yeah, you're going to spend some money on it, but I rather just cry one time and then not have to cry after I break it, because I've been known to break some of my stuff before. Anything else we think we should add to this, or? Oh yeah, boosters. Yeah, the pistol booster thing that you have to have.
Yes.
That's an interesting thing.
So, because a handgun, when it cycles, clear this. So because when a handgun cycles, that barrel has to move slightly, you have to have what's called a Nielsen device. It's essentially this little booster that has the threads that attaches the barrel, but that essentially allows that barrel just a little bit of wiggle room, so that as the barrel comes back for the gun to cycle, it will allow that firearm to cycle. If you don't have that booster on your handgun, unless it's a fixed barrel handgun like a lot of your 22s, then it will not cycle with the suppressor on it. The suppressor is just a little bit too much weight to allow that gun to cycle.
Yeah, which there are some pistols out there that you don't need a booster. What is it, Berettas, I think, because it's a fixed barrel?
Beretta, you do.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of your like submachine guns are going to have a fixed barrel. Anything like an AR-9, you won't need the booster.
Your PTRs, all your MP5 styles and all that. Those are really fun. You have one, and you kind of run some subsonics on it a lot, and it's pretty quiet, isn't it?
Yeah, makes a regular appearance at our Girls Just Want to Have Gun event, and it's been a running favorite.
It's been a hit, that's for sure. Besides that, any questions out there in the net? Anyone want to?
Yeah. So Jay Brown wants to know if you guys can just go back and forth doing suppressor sounds. You missed that earlier. So if you guys can just go back and forth. Dave Horsick said that he ran a DB app in our lanes, and he saw 80 to 95 decibel on shot impulses. 120 is the threshold of pain.
Was that in the range or outside the range?
He says in the lanes. I'm guessing in the lanes. Probably within a bay.
Yeah.
Like within one lane. So the surrounding shots in between those AR-500 panels.
It does get really loud down there, especially if you're shooting something with a little bit shorter barrel that's a rifle caliber. A lot of fire, a lot of loudness.
Esteban's asking if there's a suppressor to be used for 9 and 22 LR.
So 22, I typically recommend getting a 22 specific can. Reason being, 22 is really, 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 really dirty. And you're going to want something that's user serviceable so you can take that apart and clean those baffles out.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of options. Silence Coast Sparrow, the SRD22, Gemtech makes them, Rugged, Surefire. There's a ton of options out there. And 22 is one of those ones where you kind of want to weigh how much you want to spend on it, because it's fun and everything, but at the same time it is 22.
Oh, 22 is a blast to shoot suppressed.
Oh, I know. You can get, it's fun, it's cheap, and it's a really good way to get new shooters into it that might be a little bit afraid of the noise, especially with 22 and suppressed. You don't even really notice the gun going off at that point.
That's something, and Chris over here can attest to it. We were actually running a 10.5-inch short-barreled AR, and our Girls Just Want to Have Guns on Wednesday, and we had a SIG SRD 762 on it, and that gun was just an absolute blast, and ladies were just having an awesome time shooting that.
Now, especially with that noise down there, especially at indoor ranges, it's amplified. It echoes off, and it's not just going down range, it's all around you. So it's really a nice thing to be able to get some of that sound out of there.
Jim's saying that you need to make sure that your cans are on tight.
Yes.
He just shot his down the range a couple of days.
Yes, but always make sure your can's on tight. because you can shoot your can downrange. We actually have a few people that have done that. It sucks, but luckily their cans had pretty good warranties on them, and shipped them out, shipped them back. Because that, especially with the quick detach, and even the direct thread, you don't always know when you're at that last thread point there.
It's always a good idea to have an oven mitt and just intermittently kind of check the can to make sure that it's still on there tight.
Yeah, that's really important, because if it's not on there tight, you can get baffled strikes. You can shoot the can off, and it actually goes down range a little bit.
It does.
It's not. It's kind of embarrassing when that happens, but I would laugh at myself if I shot my can down range.
You can launch them about 20 yards.
Just down range. But so I'll talk a little bit more about kind of the NFA process and everything. One of the big things that a lot of people are scared about is getting the truss and getting all that set up. That's really not that hard. Most attorneys that do NFA truss and everything like that, that you go through, they have everything set up already. They just need your information, and they can kind of pick and pull from different trusts that they already have, and just kind of make something custom to you. Now, with that, it's going to cost you some money. I always like to know who's writing my stuff, just because I'm a little, I don't know, it's just if something goes wrong, you have someone to point the finger at. But it's also nice that you get an item, you're trying to form one something, anything like that, you can talk to them. And a lot of attorneys, where they give you they make your gun trust, that's what they're there for. That's part of that fee, is back and forth a little bit about what you can do, how to do this, and they'll give you a bunch of information on that. Which you don't really get if you're just kind of doing a single person registration. It's just kind of like, here you go, and it's yours, but...
That's kind of the advantage, like the $125 trust for the silencer shop is cheap, but you don't really get the personal attention that you would get from a actual firearm attorney.
It's a standard boilerplate contract or trust, and it's just, you get what you get, and it's kind of there. Any other questions out there on the net?
Difference between Form 1 and Form 4.
So your Form 1 is...
No warranty on his.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Your Form 1 is essentially an unlicensed individual is going to manufacture an NFA item. So if you're going to take a AR pistol like this guy, and I want to put an actual stock on it instead of a brace, I would fill out a Form 1.
And
it's manufacturing an NFA item.
And then what do you have to do once you do once you get the Form 1 back? You can't build it right until you have it.
You can't build it until you actually have the tax stamp in your possession.
Right, because you have to send them build specs, I think, correct? Of what you're
they'll
going to do
want
to
overall length, they'll want your barrel length. Overall length would be measured from the back of the buffer tube to the end of the muzzle without the muzzle device on it. Barrel length is just from length of the barrel to the end of the threads without the muzzle device.
And the Form 1, it's the same thing with suppressors. A lot of people make their own suppressors. It's not really, it's a muffler. There's designs out there. And there's a lot of companies you can get Form 1-able oil can filters or something like that. And
the drip.
Yeah,
it's or something.
And you can essentially make your own suppressor. The process after that, once you submit all your stuff and get it all back, then you can finally make it. But you also have to make sure it's engraved properly. That's a big thing, because you are then the actual manufacturer of that item. And without that, it's kind of screwy how it works, but it's kind of a no-go from the government. You want to make sure you follow all the laws and everything, just to make sure you are in the clear. Because it is going to be, 10 years and up to $10,000 in fines?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not a fun one to have on your record there, is it?
No, it's not. So that's Form 1. Form 2 is essentially if you're a FFL and you want to manufacture an NFA item, you basically just said a form that says, I made this, and you send it to the ATF. So that's a Form 2. Form 3 is if I'm ordering a NFA item from another distributor. So like if I'm ordering something from SIG directly, like this can, they would fill out a Form 3 to say, hey, ATF, we no longer have this can. I'm sending this can to Adam. And ATF goes, oh, okay, that's Adam's now. So Form 3 is for distributor or FFL to FFL. A Form 4 is when an unlicensed individual wants to purchase an NFA item. So that's basically any
it's already
pre-manufactured item. That's a Form 4. You fill out
this one. Yeah, it's like this one I just got because I just did this on Form 4 back in May. It's a Sig Sauer SBR. So essentially what it is that we already have it in our inventory or are going to have it in our inventory. And we essentially assign it to you in our inventory, and then Silencer Shop would fill out the Form 4 and send it off. Now, the nice thing also about using Silencer Shop is we don't have to have the item in our hands to get it all filled out, correct? Kind of, or you can buy it on there and select dealer.
Technically, we can't process the form until we have it in our possession. They were doing that for a while where they would send me the Form 4 and I would sign it before it even got here, but the ATF kind of clamped down on that, so they wanted to actually be in our possession when we actually file the Form 4.
Which it really doesn't take that long. Normally the Form 3 for someone to ship it to us normally takes like, what, 2 weeks-ish?
Typically, if they're e-filing a Form 3, I've gotten them back within a day.
Yeah, so it's pretty quick for us to get stuff from distributors too and get it all there. Now, we do always carry stuff in stock, or we try to. It just gets bought up pretty quickly.
Now, the other advantage to being partnered with Silencer Shop is that essentially anything that you buy from Silencer Shop is like buying it from us.
Yeah.
Because we can tap into their inventory, so if there's something you're looking for that we don't have in the store, but Silencer Shop has it on their website, we can order that directly from Silencer Shop's inventory.
And the big thing is you're not paying a transfer fee at that rate.
Exactly.
That's a big thing with like NFA items. It's a big transfer fee for NFA dealers. Now, what Silencer Shop does is, with partnering with them, we put the kiosk in there, and we're essentially their middleman almost for selling everything. Now, that NFA transfer fee is always going to be expensive, no matter where you do it, unless it's a Silencer Shop dealer, which I think is another benefit of getting things from Silencer Shop is you don't have to pay a big transfer fee at the end and just kind of get kicked down a little bit.
It's not inexpensive. I know our NFA transfer fee for non-members is $100, $50 for members, and I don't know if anywhere around here is any less expensive than
No, not that I've seen, and I really don't know many people I know a lot of people choose to do it at a shooting range because then they can shoot it. It's kind of, you get to play with your toy while you're waiting for it.
Yep.
It's kind of nice. And that's kind of what I am. So another thing I always look for with kind of suppressors and why I got 30 cal cans is you can always shoot a smaller bullet for rifles through a bigger hole. So that's one of my whole things with getting it, because if I want to, I can throw it on 300 blackout, 308, 300 Win Mag, and pretty much throw it all the way down to 5.56 if I want to. Another thing I always look for, it's kind of weird, I don't know why, I look for like full auto rating and stuff like that to make sure you can get it really hot if need be, and that it's temperature treated. That's one thing I like about Rugged. They're belt fed rated, and they get them right red hot. And it's pretty interesting to see what a suppressor looks like when it's a couple thousand degrees.
Something on the can getting hot.
Yeah. Oh, when your can gets hot, yeah. So that's a big thing with. So there's a couple ways to mitigate that. You can get a wrap for your can. Essentially, it's not really keeping your can cool, but what it is you're not going to accidentally touch it and burn yourself. I've seen people melt stuff. I've burnt myself on cans. They get really hot. When I say really hot, I mean thousands of degrees. They can get really hot really quick, and it's not the most fun to get burnt by something that hot. I've touched. Huh?
Mirage.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
The Mirage?
So, I'm talking about the Mirage. So if you're using magnified optics, if the can gets hot enough, you'll actually see a Mirage in the bottom of the optic from the suppressor heating up.
Yeah, they can get really hot really quick. It's kind of a hazardous thing. You never want to get your hand up near the end of the suppressor or anything like that. But it's sure a lot better than being downstairs and getting a headache from the amount of thud and everything that shorter barreled and rifles and stuff like that have down there.
Should have grabbed the air cooler that we have.
Oh yeah, those are all the barrel coolers. Great thing, makes your suppressor cool down in like 15 minutes. It's actually a neat little
item. I think it's made by Caldwell.
Yeah. That
plugs into your AR's magwell, and it basically just has a fan on it that circulates air and blows air down the barrel and helps cool down the barrel and the suppressor.
Yeah, and it's really a big thing if you're shooting a lot of rounds, having some fun with some friends, to cool that down. If you just wait, it can take a couple hours. You put it in your gun bag, you're gonna melt something. You can even catch it on fire. Sometimes it can be hot enough. Not a good idea to just put your gun from shooting it straight back in your bag, because that's gonna cause some big issues there real quick. Huh?
Fry bacon on
What?
a suppressor, you can fry bacon.
Oh yeah, we've done that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so what was that, last year I think? Last year, something like that?
Was it at Silent Night?
CMMG bacon.
Yeah, we got some CMMG bacon. We wrapped it around a suppressor and then had a little fun with the full autos down there. And yeah, you can fry bacon on it. You can cook it. You can probably cook an egg if you can kind of make it balance on there. I don't suggest doing
Is
it.
that FDA approved?
I don't know if it's FDA approved. It may or
I'd
may
like to
not.
get back to you on that.
Real smoky flavor though.
So real smoke, like, I'm gonna have to try this now.
I would not suggest.
What if you like put the bacon on there and then like foil wrapped it and then like made it all like?
You might be on something.
I think I'm onto something. I think if you like for some reason can't cook bacon the normal way, you could cook bacon a little bit more fun and expensive way. That might be a little bit more expensive than just like frying it on a pan.
Yeah, especially with ammo being what it is right now.
Yeah, but it's fun.
It is fun.
The fun factor is always there. You need to have fun. But yeah, they get hot. You can cook bacon. I am going to try that now, 100%. This is happening. Anything else coming through? No one's commenting on my shirt or that I have not enough buttons or anything like that.
Somehow, we're gonna just, I guess,
No.
yeah, nobody's noticed.
No one's I think it's normal at this point for me just to wear Hawaiian shirts when I come back in.
I kind of prefer it that way.
I think we should get Hawaiian shirts. We need to.
I've already said this. Like the black base color Hawaiian shirt with
Yeah,
the
that'd be
floral print and
perfect.
the range logo.
Imagine what Jeff would look like in that Hawaiian shirt every day.
And kill, perfect.
I think, yeah, kilts, Hawaiian shirts.
Plate carrier.
Yeah, well, maybe. That can get heavy after a while. Because what is that, like 40, 50 pounds sometimes? If you have it loaded? Yeah, that's pretty heavy.
Mine weighs 45 pounds loaded
Ugh.
without water.
That seems like my backpack for law school. It's probably 45 pounds. I don't know if books are bulletproof. I don't know.
Enough of them are.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I mean, I'm not in con law, but I've seen constitutional law books. They're like 1,800 pages long. It gets up at 22, I think.
1,800 pages for a 4-page document?
For like 18, yeah.
1,800 page book for a 4-page document.
Don't get me started. Reading's fun. It's real fun. Yeah, and then you get to Scalia dissents, and they're like 30 pages long, and they print the whole thing in there, and you're just slowly crying every single time. Gosh, law school's fun. No, it's not. But yeah, if anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask them. So, Jake, you have a couple.
Questions, where they send them?
Where do they send them? To you?
Questions.
What question?
Facebook.
Facebook?
Any questions they have?
Yeah. Well, if they have any questions, they can always email info@therangesdl.com. That's a great place to always get some answers real quick. You could, if you have NFA questions, definitely email them over. We're pretty responsive with that because we know the NFA process is pretty daunting, and we have the answers. At least can help get some answers because there's always going to be those weird questions of like, hey, I'm thinking about getting a suppressor and I want to put it on a shorter barrel but weld it on there. What does that create my gun? And that's always a lot of gray areas. But then its overall length of 16 inches, it's a rifle still.
Yep.
Flipping coins.
Bill Leader on YouTube wants to know what a sonic cleaner is.
What, sonic cleaner? What is a sonic cleaner?
A sonic cleaner is a device that has a little tub in it with cleaning solution that you put in there, and it uses vibrations to help break up carbon and to clean firearms, suppressors, and
So it's like having a million little
Tools.
vinnies in there with little brushes
Yeah.
at the same time brushing away.
yeah,
I wish I had that.
we do.
Well, yeah, but I don't clean guns. I'm like Phil. I think I cleaned a gun a year ago. It was my shotgun. It's fine. They'll work. They work. And then, yeah, well, with a lot of the rifle cans aren't going to be user serviceable.
Exactly.
But really, there's a break-in period with them. You kind of have to shoot them to get that right tone and get it broken in because there needs to be some carbon buildup inside the baffles, and it just helps the whole suppressor work better. So you do have to shoot it to make it sound just right, but with anything, you're probably going to shoot it if you're going to buy it. Huh? Wrap up? Well, thanks guys for coming out and watch. If you got any time tonight, come on in, have some fun, shoot some guns, look at some of the big discounts we have. We still have the Jefferson County Barracks food pantry donations going on, accepting canned goods, non-perishables, and anything for a household. So if you got some stuff, come in. There is a giveaway with that as well. It's going to be
500 rounds of 9mm.
Yeah. Ooh, that's like
It's like gold right now.
It is gold. I'd do a lot of things for 500 rounds right now. Gosh, I'd probably work for free for like a month for that.
We can work that out.
Careful what you say.
Careful what you say. You might get it. But yeah, I mean, what is the average box costing right now? 9mm. That's crazy.
I'm seeing places around here. We're under $30 a box still, but I've heard of places selling for $30, $40 a box.
What's cheaper than dirt right now? I heard that was pretty. I saw a internet picture not too long ago.
I don't even do business with those guys anymore.
Gosh, it's getting crazy out there with everything. But $1.50? Nope. No, thank you.
No.
I can't. At that rate, I'm gonna have to get like 7 jobs. Yeah.
Floor pickup. Biggest floor pickup. Who knows what ammo it is?
Nope, not for me. But hey guys, just want to thank you all for coming out. It's been a fun 5 days, and I hope to see you guys